All right, kids, it's time for accountability. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, Washington isn't just melting down over Trump's pick of Matt Gaetz for AG. Defenders of the military-industrial complex are also opposing Pete Hegseth, Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense.
He is the most unqualified candidate for this position in the history of America. This is very dangerous.
I'm not surprised that he picked a Fox News host rather than someone who was going to understand the seriousness of the moment. Our military has always been apolitical, nonpartisan patriots, not a political military.
This is exactly what we worried about and we warned about Donald Trump, which is that he is going to appoint unqualified loyalists to shape this government into his own personal fiefdom and get revenge on generals.
Well, what Democrats hope for, what they've become accustomed to, is a SecDef or Chairman of the Joint Chiefs who will be a bulwark against the president. That's why they love Mark Milley, who was the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs under Trump. Remember in testimony on Capitol Hill, he recounted a phone call he had after January 6th with Nancy Pelosi, during which she expressed concern about Trump's ability to launch a nuclear war.
She was concerned and made various personal references characterizing the president. I repeatedly assured her that there is no chance of an illegal, unauthorized, or accidental launch. By law, I am not in the chain of command, and I know that. I am in the chain of communication to fulfill my legal, statutory role as the president's primary military advisor.
Well, Milley was the establishment's best hope for Trump-proofing our defense policy. You could hear the condescension in his voice. This is why Hegseth worries them. Who'll be their stopgap now?
Trump's going for the Pentagon first because it's the Pentagon that stopped him last time, right? This is where Milley held the line. And that's why he's going to the Pentagon and the defense industry first, because it's the most formidable resistance to what he wants to execute.
Of course, he said it. They want resistance. That's why they like people like Milley. These supposed defenders of norms and protocol, they've forgotten that the president, not the Secretary of Defense, is the commander-in-chief. The Pentagon chief's supposed to carry out the president's defense priorities, not disrupt them. Now, legitimate questions about a nominee's relevant experience, that's par for the course. That's one thing. But the argument that a nominee is not qualified because he's aligned with the president on policy is ludicrous, and that's going to fail. So if Democrats learn nothing here, they tried to stop Trump's reelection with these types of generic, hyperbolic attacks for the past 3 years. Well, really, the past 9 years. How did that work out for them? And let's face it, the Pentagon needs major reform. It's lurched from one disaster after another, from the Iraq War to the Afghanistan War to the deadly pullout from Afghanistan. Now, it goes without saying that we love our troops, their selfless service, their patriotism. But it is a sad fact that our military leadership, the Pentagon bureaucracy, and decades upon decades of failure, that has put us in a dangerous and compromised situation. You don't think China and Russia know that we're nowhere near our needed recruitment levels right now? 3 of the 4 service branches failed to recruit enough service members through 2023. The Army's short 10,000 soldiers. That's a 20% shortfall. But at least they're on top of your preferred pronouns.
Hi, my name is Johnny, and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, and I'm Conchi, and I use she, her pronouns.
And we're here to talk about pronouns. Using the right pronouns is a really simple way to affirm someone's identity. It is a signal of acceptance and respect.
If it's a signal of acceptance and respect, how do we go about creating a safe space for everybody?
A safe space for our military. Now, military leaders should be just laser beam focused on defending America's interests. But instead, we've seen this over the years, they waste time on pet issues of the hard left.
I would also say that diversity, equity, and inclusion is important to this military now, and it will be important in the future.
On the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
He will never, ever live that down. Meanwhile, they can't even account for the billions that they spend. An audit just last month showed that they can't be sure at the Pentagon of the $1.1 billion and the Ukraine supplemental funds, that they can't be sure they were used as intended. No biggie. Of course, some are stuck in a nostalgic trance about our military capability.
The United States military is stronger today than any time since World War II. We are an extraordinarily powerful, battle-hardened country, fought in Iraq and fought in Afghanistan. We have seen what's happened in Ukraine over the past 2 years or so. We have learned a hell of a lot from it. You talk to anybody across the world, they will tell you just how strong we are.
Okay. Huh? Now, repeated tabletop run-throughs of potential conflicts show that America is repeatedly losing to China. The former lawmakers, military leaders, policy experts on the Commission on the National Defense Strategy gave us grim news. Unclassified public war games suggest that in a conflict with China, the U.S. would largely exhaust its munitions inventories in as few as 3 to 4 weeks, with some important munitions, anti-ship missiles, lasting only a few days. Once expended, replacing these munitions would take years. That is the truth about our current capability. So right now, we are not safe. The world isn't safe if our military is not seen as a credible deterrent. That has to change. And President Trump obviously thinks that an outsider who is not beholden to the old guard has the best shot at accomplishing this. Plus, we know President Trump obviously wants his picks to be effective communicators, especially given how much opposition his agenda is going to face from the same people who got us into the mess we're in. Now, how this all plays out, it's anyone's guess. But the defense establishment has no one to blame but itself for the mess that we find ourselves in. And fixing this, man, this is not going to be easy. But we do know that those with the perfect D.C. resumes have repeatedly failed to keep us safe and to advance America's military interests. And that is The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.